Hey family, welcome to the Hub. I am so excited because today I get to interview two really beautiful people. Now, Dexter Bridgeman is someone I have known for years upon years upon years. This man is a change maker, revolutionary, a visionary in our community, specifically in South Florida. So he is the CEO and president of the MIA Media Group. And let me get my notes together, okay? He helps to editorialize the successment and achievement of Black community in South Florida. And his beautiful new bride, yes, new bride, y'all, get ready. Michelle Rolston. She is the curator of fine art for those who love the Key West style. She owns the Key West, let me get it right?
Key West Colors, the art of Ray Rolston.
Yes, the Key West colors. I love it. So welcome, Dexter and Michelle.
So glad to be here.
Hi, Coach Cass.
How are you doing?
The love coach.
Good to see you again. Good to see you again. Good to talk to you again. It's been a while.
Now, I know we haven't really hung out because, you know, the whole world's kind of been shut down and all that stuff. And you guys moved to another part of the country, also known as Coral Springs, and I'm in Hollywood, but we won't get into that.
Yeah.
You know, I got to take a flight to get to you, but I really had to get your story, right? And we definitely want to talk about your first date, but before we get there, right? So let's go to you, Dexter. I know at one point you were married before, and then you were single for a minute. So can you tell us a little bit of what that journey had been for you as a single grown man? Because, you know, there's a lot of grown people that listen in. So it's always good to hear some insight about maybe what you came across and, you know, what was uninspiring or what was inspiring when it came to dating. Did you date? I know I'm asking about 17 questions, so I'm gonna stop talking. Go ahead. What comes to you?
I got married young, 26, 27 years old, stayed and got divorced around, stayed married for about 9 years, married my college sweetheart, but, and we stayed together for 9 years after that. It took me a little while to start dating after that. Once I started dating, a lot of my friends my so-called friends started hooking me up with their friends. And as it turns out, Dexter is a really great guy. I want to introduce you to Dexter. And as it turns out, the people or the women that I was being introduced to had all sorts of issues. So after a while, I had to tell my friends, do me a favor, don't introduce me to anybody else. You know, because I mean, from the worst situations that you could possibly imagine, from a woman who was raped by her boyfriend to, mental abuse, physical abuse. And I'm like, it was
more common than not, unfortunately.
It was shock to me. And I'm like, how do I deal with all this? And I said, you know what? Just do me a favor. I'll fend for myself.
You'll fend for yourself? Ay. So then what did you do? Did you start just like saying hello to people in the streets? Did you put your leg out on the corner? Like, how did you fend for yourself?
So after starting to fend for myself, I ended up meeting some really great people. I mean, those women were great people too.
But how did you meet? This is the question, right? Like, because sometimes those who are listening in feel like there's just nobody. I don't know if they don't open their eyes when they go outside. So where did you meet some of these lovely ladies? Like specifically, like what kind of venue or online?
I didn't do anything online, but I need to tell you my online story that I tried when I first moved down here. But when I was in New York, I met, because, I'm not from here. I've been here for 18 years. So my dating life started in New York. And I started meeting women when I would go out, or, you'd see them frequently. Next thing you know, you're having conversations with them. Next thing you know, you're going out on dates with them.
So you would strike up conversation with these people, or sometimes these ladies would say hello to you?
A little bit of both, a little bit of both. And New York is very different from here. The dating scene is very, very different than South Florida. I mean, we're densely populated. So, I mean, you don't, you can walk down the street and see someone. You're not going to meet anybody walking down the street in South Florida, because nobody walks anywhere. You know what I mean? So I had a pretty active dating life. I mean, not that I was Romeo or anything of that nature, but I had a pretty active dating life through meeting women, through whether it's I would go to a reception or go to a wedding, or and if you were,
you had your radar on. Right? You were like, listen.
I definitely want to get married again. I definitely want to get married. I definitely want to be in a relationship. I'm built like that. I'm not built to be single forever. I wasn't that guy. I'm not that guy.
Wow. Okay. So Michelle, tell me, right? So back in the day, your singlehood, how was that for you?
I mean, well, when I was younger, and I don't want to sound, but I've always had men approach me, at the different walks of life. I think it was a little easier when I was younger because I was a little bit more naive. I was married previously, and then I was in another long-term relationship after that. I was a little bit naive when I was younger, but as you get older and wiser, I think that once I started to get into the 40s, and I've always dated men who are a little bit older than me, I would say within a 5 to 10 year age range, it started to get really tough for me because the people that I was meeting, a lot of them had almost like alter egos.
Ooh.
Where, the person you meet and the person they actually were very different. I met gentlemen who, there was a lot of lies. They weren't very forthright about their actual dating status. And a lot of times when you meet people and they start off with a lie, it gets harder and harder as you go on. So I actually got to the point where, it was very easy for me to dismiss someone. The first sign of, me feeling like there was a red flag there, I would just keep it moving. And I got to the point where, and because of that, it just seemed like I was meeting a lot of people and I was dismissing a lot of these gentlemen, and even my friends used to laugh about it. They're like, oh my gosh, you're treacherous. You just, but I got to the point where I just really didn't.
Jamaican friends.
Right, exactly.
Treacherous.
Exactly. Yes, treacherous. But I just didn't want to invest time when I've already seen the red flags because, in my younger days, I saw red flags, and I tried to ignore it or, the whole blinded by love type of deal. But I got to a point where I was like, okay, we're not going to do this anymore. The minute we get a red flag, we're going to move on, until find someone worthy. Because another thing with us ladies is sometimes it takes us a little bit of time to realize and know our value. And once you get that and you realize of how worthy you are, then you start looking for that person who can be your equal or better.
Beautiful, beautiful. Okay, so Michelle, where did you meet some of these alter ego men? Not to say all of the men you meet there are alter ego men, but where were you meeting men? Because it sounded like you didn't have a problem, but then you were in South Florida.
I was in South
But
Florida.
where were you meeting men? Where were you meeting guys?
I have met guys just, just being out or about, maybe being at dinner with a girlfriend or, going to an event. Um, I've met gentlemen through friends,
Yeah.
who they don't know these people in depth. So,
Right.
they just see, oh, well, he's a nice guy. Let me hook you up.
Mm.
I've met gentlemen that way. So that's a variety of ways.
All right, Dexter. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So one of the things I wanted to say was part of my dating at 36, 37, I was wide open. So I actually dated a woman that was 23. And I
Oh.
didn't think that, but, it was, I couldn't say it was the best relationship because it was like a weekend relationship,
Mm.
you know, and she would come over like on a Friday and would leave on a Sunday, but she would,
Mm.
we would have dinner or something like that. Then she would go out with her friends and come back about 3 o'clock in the morning.
Oh
But
my
she was still in that clubbing scene. I was done with that. And then what ended the relationship was I'm like, can't you got to club every weekend. And then she said, you know what, Dexter, you've been there, done that. And when she said that, I'm like, you know what? It just rang a bell. And I'm like, you know what? This is not compatible. I'm, what am I doing here? And I realized that this is not something that I really wanted. So, I ended it. I ended it, very, very nicely, and she understood that, where she was in life and where I am in life we're going in two different directions. She understood that. And when I moved down here, one of the things I did was I did go on a dating site, and what the person sent me a picture of her 10 years, younger than she was in actuality. So we're gonna meet at Houston's, right? And everybody knows Houston's on Biscayne, right? So they have this glass window there. And so I told her I'll be at the glass window and I'll be looking out for her. She told me what she was wearing. So she was running very late. So after a while, I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to go to the bar. So she finally arrives and she, I told her what I was wearing. So she patted me on my back, turned around. She's like, Dexter. And I'm like, hey, how you doing? And she's like, oh, I'm fine. Good to finally meet you. And she says, do I look different? Now, I'm like, no, not at all. Not at all. And I was so angry because she was, and don't misunderstand me. I'm not, this is
Just
not about
the misperception or the
it was about her. It was about her lying and about her about and the whole
misrepresenting.
misrepresentation of herself. So
Yeah.
she was like maybe she had a cat suit on, looking all sexy in the photo that she sent me, and now she's like 50 pounds heavier.
Oh
And
no.
so she's like, and she has the audacity to ask me, do I look any different? Now, what am I going to say? And she knows I'm lying when I
Yes.
say no.
Yes, you look different.
And so the thing about it was we sat down and I had a wonderful conversation with her. And I could really see myself like, she's cool. And I would go on another date with her. But then I started thinking to myself, if she lied about this and she thought it was cool, what else would she lie about?
Right. Right.
So the whole thing, she called me, I called her back once, we played telephone tag, and I never called her back again. And I have my receptions at my events and what have you. So one of her girlfriends was being honored at one of my receptions. So she walks up to me with all her girls around me and says, yeah, this guy went on a date with him and he never called me back. And all her girlfriends just went in on me. And I said, this is not good. There's no way to talk myself out of this, because they already are looking at me like I am like enemy number one. So I said, well, ladies, it's such a pleasure to meet all of you. Have a wonderful time. And I'll see you guys later. And if they heard this, if they really knew the story, they would understand why. But I wasn't going to sit there and try to explain what happened. But you can't misrepresent yourself and and be deceptive about something like that and think it's okay.
Yeah. So that's the moral of the story too, for anyone listening in. It's just, if you're going to do online dating does work for many, right? 1 in 4 marriages are a result of online dating. You got to be safe. You got to do your research, and you have to be yourself. So if you have rolls, if you have chin hair, well, not necessarily the chin hair, pluck the chin hair, but you can do something with that. But if you have some extra pounds or a third nose, show it. It's like, it is what it is. I always say, you want people to say, wow, you look so much better than your online pictures, than say, wow, I didn't know that was you, right? Like, 'cause so many people will do a photo shoot and put those pictures as their online dating pictures. And it's like, that's not what you look like on a regular basis, right? So this is not what I look like on a regular basis. So there will be some normal pictures of my hair in a ponytail, just chilling, so you can see my regular face, because you don't want anybody surprised. You should see some of these TikToks nowadays, right? These before and afters, and you're wondering, who is that person?
Right.
Please don't do that to these men or these women. Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. So tell us, okay, you're at Jazz in the Gardens, the foreknown event that has the biggest artists. And then what happens?
So that day, because I volunteered at Jazz in the Gardens for the media section for probably about 5 years. So that day I was there and I was greeting everybody who came in, and I saw Dexter standing around. I just went and said, "Hi, how are you?" And he just looked at me like really weird and standoffish and was like, "Do I know you?" And I'm like, "No, I'm just saying hello. How are you?" And he still was like being very standoffish about it. And then at some point he made a comment, because I had on my Yankees cap, because I am from New York. I'm a Brooklyn girl. And then we just started to talk about New York and the food that we missed in New York. And that's how it all started.
Pause, Michelle. Okay, Dexter, what was going on over by you standing over there?
Well, the thing about it is, come on now, not too many sisters, are going to say hi to you. And I was like, when she said hi, I was literally looking around to see who she was talking to, because I know sisters don't normally do that. So I'm like, who's this person saying hello? Let me not be presumptuous and just assume that she's talking to me. So that's why I said, and she made it sound like I was like with an attitude, like, "Do I know you?" And I said, "Hi." I'm like, "Do I know you?" Like, kind of inquisitive, like, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So
he was standoffish.
I was not standoffish.
Hey. We doing both sides of the story. Go ahead, Dexter. Go ahead.
So I was just surprised because, come on, I love my sisters. I love all of y'all, but y'all are not the easiest in terms of, in terms of with an introduction. So a sister saying hello to me first was like, I'm not gonna say at first, but with the bright smile, and she was beautiful and all that. And I'm like, well, who's she talking to? And I'm like, when I realized she was talking to me, then I kind of opened up.
Wow.
So that, it wasn't like I was being, standoffish, but I just wanted
surprised.
to make sure she was talking to me. I was very surprised.
Exactly. She was like, "This pretty lady over here is talking to me." Oh, snap. He didn't know what to do with his emotions, girl.
Don't blow up her head.
That's exactly what happened.
So you guys started talking about New York and the things you missed. So Dexter, what was going on in your mind when you were talking to the pretty lady about New York and the things you missed?
I found her to be very pretty and what have you, but I wasn't convinced that, it was more than that. So I was like, let me just kind of feel it out and what have you. I'm not one of those guys who's just going to pounce on you, you smile at me, and I have friends that a woman smiles at them and they're like, "Yo, she likes me." I'm not like that. I'm like, "Dude, all she did was smile." She's like, "Yo, but she likes me." That's not me. So I wanted to, I kind of like, I was attracted to her. obviously she's a very beautiful woman, physically speaking. And then I got to learn later on during the day that she also had a beautiful persona and had a beautiful soul as well. So, I went home that night determined and saying, hey, you know what? If she's going to be here tomorrow, I'm going to make my move.
Oh, snap. So what if she didn't volunteer the next day?
I would have found her.
Oh,
But check this out. She was really casual on Saturday. Sunday now, she comes with the lipstick. She comes with the bling. She's like all dialed up. And, and I'm like.
He didn't know what to do with himself, okay?
Well, he thought that I was that way because of him. But traditionally for Jazz in the Garden, Saturday we were always very casual. Sunday we always dressed a little bit nicer, but I was still very casual.
She was casual, but she had, she had the makeup on.
I had on my red lipstick.
And she had on, she had on her bling and all
red
that.
Lipstick.
I had on my red.
And it was a lot more interaction and what have you. And at the end of the night, I'm like, listen, well, I'm getting ready to leave. It's been a long day. I said, let me get your number. And so I got her number, but I took it down incorrectly. So I knew her friend, so like 3 or 4 days passed. And that's when I called her.
Wait, so Michelle, when 3 or 4 days passed and this man didn't call you, what were you thinking?
Honestly, I didn't think anything of it.
Okay.
Because the way he got my phone number was he asked me if I would volunteer for one of his upcoming events. And I said, sure. So that's how the whole phone number exchange.
Oh, okay. So it wasn't like, let me holla. It's like, oh, yeah, let me ask you.
That's the way I remembered it. But anyhow.
All right, Jackson, you were recruiting volunteers. I got you. Go ahead.
That's not the way I remembered it. But anyhow. So I called her friend and said, listen, Michelle gave me her number, but I copied it down incorrectly. Can you call her and get her, or can you ask her, because I don't want to put you in the middle and you thinking that I'm trying to swindle her number from you. So she called, she got the permission to give the number to me, and we made a date. I had passes to the tennis tournament, so I invited her to the tennis tournament for a day. We had a great time.
So the tennis tournament was your first date?
Well,
no, Sunday we went to OB House, and then Monday we went.
Oh,
to
that's right.
Okay, so let's rewind then. Okay, so Michelle, tell the story right. Go ahead. How did he end up asking for the first date?
I think he just asked me. I think he had asked me if I wanted to go to the tennis match first, and then he asked me if I wanted to do brunch the day before. So I said, sure, let's do brunch. So we met at OB House, and initially I remember at the date just thinking, oh my gosh, she's so conservative, because he sat down there. I don't even remember what we were talking about, but I wasn't getting like the warm and fuzzies from him on that day.
Right.
And
wait. So Dexter, how you feel about that? How did you feel conservative? What was going on?
No, I mean, I was.
You were laying it thick, and she wasn't picking it up. What?
I thought I was being charming, and I thought I was being, being a gentleman. I thought I was being chivalrous. All of that.
No, I'm sure you were being a gentleman, but I think he probably was a little bit more Dexter Bridgeman, the businessman, versus that very laid back, funny Dexter Bridgeman that I've gotten to know.
Ooh, okay, hold on. Okay, so on the first date, you guys went to one of the best brunch spots in town. I love their D Club with the crab. Oh, that's so good.
Yep.
Okay, so you guys are on this date. So now the date is happening. While you're on the date, you're saying, oh, he's conservative. Dexter, what were you thinking?
I like what I saw. I thought we had good conversation. I thought we had good chemistry. We set it up for doing something later that week. So I'm like, you know what? I want to pursue this.
So would you say you guys were naughty or nice on the first date?
Definitely nice.
Definitely nice.
Definitely nice. Okay. And so after you left that date, What were you thinking, Michelle, after you left that first date? Because you had a second date already lined up the next day. So what were
Right.
you thinking?
I mean, I thought he was cool, but again, I wasn't thinking anything like along relationship
Yeah.
lines. You know, I was looking forward to going to the tennis match the following day.
Right. So you were open at least to spend some time, right?
Absolutely.
To know.
Absolutely.
And then Dexter, what
Yeah,
about
well,
you?
yeah, no, I definitely. And when she came to the tennis match, she looked amazing. And I noticed that she kind of leaned into me and kind of felt holding on to me. So I'm like, okay, there's, she
She touched my
she
arm.
feel a little bit of something here. Just there's some chemistry here. And
Wait, pause. Michelle, what was going on? How come you were leaning?
Well, first of all, when we got to the tennis match, I remember because he came in this like lavender suit, with like the striped shirt, a linen outfit. And I also was like, in this striped linen shirt with pants. And I remember us just, as we're going through like all the different entryways and working our way up to the suite, everybody kept complimenting us on how great we looked together.
Ooh.
So,
to everybody.
So then, we went and we're sitting down and we're watching the match and, talking to different people. And at some point he said to me, he said, "Can I give you a hug?" So I said to him, I said, "Well, I never refuse a hug."
God, she remembers everything.
I do. I'm very detailed.
God,
and we actually hugged. And I think that was when I was like, okay, he's really sweet and really nice and kind. And we actually had a great time at the tennis match.
Really?
And I had to actually leave him there because it was like in the middle of the workday. So I just remember, walking to the car and it was raining. And he took the umbrella and held it all over my head. And him in his linen suit got soaking wet. He probably doesn't remember that. So that was very charming, very, very charming. So the second date actually was great.
Oh my goodness, that is beautiful. Okay, I'm gonna pause there. I had a date where I went to Jazz in the Gardens, right? I was dating a guy. It was about 10 of us ladies, because that's how it goes, right? And I had another guy friend and my mom, right? It started drizzling. The guy I was dating decided to go sit in the car to wait for us. While the rest of us 10 girls had to get our stuff together, my mama and my guy friend ended up carrying everything while he sat in the car. So we know that's not my husband, and you knew that was your husband.
Yes, absolutely.
That's chivalry, boy. It'll get you. It'll get you
everywhere.
Everywhere, man. So Dexter, so now let's fast forward. In the time that you guys were dating, when did you understand or come to the realization, like, you know what? This is my wife?
Well, I'll tell you, I was really sick and I was home and I had bronchitis or something like that. I didn't know. And you know what, we men are a little stubborn sometimes about taking care of them. I'm like, yeah, I'll just self-medicate myself. I can't talk. I'm like that. I'll just self-medicate myself. So she left her job and came to my home and took me to the urgent care. And she just popped up at the door and I'm like, huh? That's when I realized that, you know what, she's somebody special. She's somebody that cares about me, and I'm gonna marry this woman.
Wow. So what were you thinking, Michelle, when this man was here trying to die on his couch?
I just was like, we need to get you to the urgent care. You need to take something if you're sick. Mm-hmm. So let me just preference it with, I have 2 children. I have 2 boys. Mm-hmm. So I think I just naturally have that nurturing nature, mm-hmm. And I knew that, if you're sick and if, you sound that way, I need to get you to the doctor if you're not going to do it yourself. So. Wow. So that was just natural.
This is another learning lesson, right? Men still want to feel like they're cared for, right? There's something beautiful about that, because sometimes as independent women, we could be like, all right, you're good. All right, I'm good. Let me know when you're better. But there was something beautiful about you showing up physically to make sure that he was okay, that was a game changer, because each of us want to feel like you care enough, right? Like you're not just here for the glitz and the glam, but you're also here for the coughs and the sneezes.
It's the little things.
Yeah.
That was a lot. That wasn't a little thing to me. That was a lot. And that's when, you know, that moment is when, I mean, that's when I kind of can admit to myself, obviously I'm thinking to myself, oh, you know, I'm falling in love. But when she did that, I was in love.
Oh, and see, it just comes naturally to you, Michelle, which is just even more beautiful, right? So you weren't putting on airs. It's like, no, you truly cared. So what was the game changer for you that you were like, you know what? This is him.
So a month after we actually started dating, my dad passed away. He passed away in April of, what was that, 2019? So during that whole period, because it was something very unexpected, and Dexter really had this gift to know when to stand back and give me my space and when to be there. And it was the following Thanksgiving, and I was like in a state of depression. It's my first Thanksgiving without my dad. I had just found out that a really good friend of mine had terminal cancer. So I'm just like, I found out the day before Thanksgiving that a girlfriend of mine had terminal cancer. So at this point, I am just, and I wanted to stay home. And my mom came over, but Dexter insisted that I couldn't skip Thanksgiving. So he showed up at my house with a full Thanksgiving dinner that he had catered. And I'm talking about like turkey, ham, and 8 sides. I could have fed about 20 people on this dinner. And I was so touched by the gesture. Like, I feel like I can cry just talking about it. I was so touched by that gesture that's the day that I was like, okay, he's definitely a keeper. You know, it was just such a sweet thing to do. And he actually sat there with me and my mom, you know, for a good portion of the day until we decided to leave and go to Brandsmart to catch the Black Friday sale.
That's right.
And he actually sat there with us in Brandsmart for like 2 hours while my mom was testing electric recliners. But that whole gesture of everything. I do remember that.
I remember that. Everything, yeah. Wow.
So I just think that whole gesture of him knowing not to leave me alone that Thanksgiving and to be affirmative in his actions and showing up with this whole meal, that was the day that I was like, you know, and up to that point, I still, you know, we were dating, we were seriously dating. But that day was like, what sealed the deal? And I just want to go back. Maybe before my dad passed away, we had been dating for about 3 weeks. And I remember him bringing up some conversation about marriage. And I'm like, marriage, like I can't even deal with that. And I remember him getting really serious and saying to me, and he probably doesn't remember this either, but he said to me, he said, look, if that's not what you're in this for, then we just need to stop right now. So I knew that he was serious and he wasn't playing around and that his intentions were real.
Wow. Wow.
And that was about 3 weeks into dating.
Listen, when you're grown, you know, right? We're not here to play games. Now, if it ended in marriage, okay. If it didn't, okay. But at least you had the intention of, I'm seriously getting to know you to see if this can really be something more.
Exactly. We're not playing games.
You see, that's where love comes in, the food. He fed you.
He fed me. He fed me good. He fed me good with that meal from Shuckin' and Jivin'.
Ooh, yes. Yes, that's some good food. Oh man, you guys, we might need to bring you back, but wait, I need to know. Okay, so you have this big ring on your finger, right? It's like I think it blinded me. Oh snap. So how did he propose?
So with the proposal, I actually thought that I was going to a dinner with his sister and her fiance, where she was going to accept her fiance's proposal. So that's what I thought. And I just remember, there was like a lot going on, because at one point I'm like, oh, I'm gonna have to take my son somewhere on Tuesday. It was supposed to be a Tuesday night. And I'm like, oh, you know what? I got to do something with my son that Tuesday night. I can't do it. I said, I'm going to have my mom watch my son that Tuesday night so that I could go. And then all of a sudden there was like all this shuffling. And then he's like, oh, I really wanted your mom to come. And I'm still not thinking anything about it. So we ended up going that Monday night. So I walk into this restaurant. It's Houston's. Morton's. Yeah, it was Morton's on 163rd Street, North Miami, on Biscayne. And I remember walking into the restaurant and his sister and her, fiance sitting there. And I'm like, oh, wow, this is going to be so special, seeing these two, And then his photographer was there. And I'm looking at the photographer like, oh, that looks like his photographer. And then he's like, oh, yeah, he's going to take some pictures for my sister. So I'm like, oh, okay. Then he's telling me that they're waiting for like his sister's best friend and her husband to get there. So, we're sitting at the table and everything's wonderful. I actually wore a beautiful dress that night, and it's funny because actually when I walked into the restaurant, everybody else except for Dexter, they were dressed pretty casual compared to me in this very beautiful dress, and Dexter's in his suit, and we actually coordinated that night too.
Oh, snap. Y'all was coordinating.
And we didn't, and I didn't know. It just happened to be where we coordinated that night. And actually, I was on my way to the wrong Houston's when I was in my car. And I just, the wrong Morton's, I'm sorry. When I was in my car, I was on my way to the wrong one. I was on the way to the one up in Fort Lauderdale. Mm-hmm. And I think he called me, was like, where are you at? And I'm like, oh, I'm on my way. And then he's like, yeah, it's right off of Biscayne. I'm like, oh boy. So I had to kind of like do a U-turn. So I was a little bit late, but not too late.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we're sitting at this table and I'm waiting for his sister's best friend and her husband to come in. And I see my cousin and my aunt walk in. And I'm like, what are they doing there? But it was 3 days before my birthday. So I'm thinking, oh, he just really had this wonderful birthday dinner planned for me. Oh, this is so nice, so sweet, So they sit down and everybody's just looking at me like really oddly, like everybody's just like staring at me. And I'm like, why are y'all looking at me like that? And then he started, and I think the first line he said is, well, it started with hello. Oh. And as soon as he said that, I was like, oh my God. And I remember just getting very nervous and feeling very blush. And then he started to make the speech. We have the camera guy over here, over my shoulder at that point. My cousin's got her phone up with the video, and I'm just, it was a beautiful moment. It was a very beautiful moment. I had my mom sitting down next to me. And then he proposed. It was Dexter, his sister and her husband, my aunt, my cousin, and my mom.
So Dexter, what was going on in your mind with this proposal?
Well, it was very intentional. I wasn't nervous. I wasn't nervous about her saying no or anything of that nature because, we were going in the same direction. What I was nervous about was her finding out what this is going on. So actually when her cousins, when she started, I pretended like, what is everybody doing here? What is your cousin doing here? Wow, they might as well sit with us. Like it was a coincidence, that type of thing.
Yeah.
But I think Michelle kind of was thinking,
that was a stretch. That was a little bit of a stretch.
They don't go to Morton's.
And not on a Monday night, definitely not.
No. So, when I got down, when I had my hands and knees and, got on my knees and started asking for her hand in marriage, it was, all of a sudden, we were right in the center of Morton's. And, and we were like the center of attention where everybody was like looking at us. Everybody got up and started applauding. And it was one of the best moments of my life, actually, because she was very, very happy and excited. And she's very close to her mother, and she's very close to her cousin. They're like sisters. So the people that were so close to her, and me having my sister, who I'm very close with, it was just a love. It was a moment of love. And, it was just fantastic. I had a tear in my eye.
Girl, when he popped open that ring box, I grabbed it out his hand. And I didn't even know that till after when I saw the video. Like, I grabbed it out his hand. I was like, oh my God, that's beautiful.
He did good. He did good.
He did great.
Oh my goodness. So how long had you dated before you proposed?
Not even 9, because when I met her in 2019 at the Jasmine Gardens, and as we were dating, I said, you know what? I want to propose to her and be engaged to her before 1 year. Because again, I was very intentional. I was not, I'm 650, I'm 58, 59 years old, been around the block more than a few times. I'm not going to do this for 5 years or 3 years and what have you. I got the woman that I've dreamt of. She's beautiful, smart, intelligent. You know what? This is what I wanted. This is what I wanted my entire life. So this is what I've been waiting for 20 years for. So
it was 3 days short of our 11-month anniversary.
I didn't even know that. I just knew that it was less than a year.
It was 3 days short of our 11-month.
Listen, Dexter, if you need the time stamp and the date stamp on anything, just ask Michelle and she will tell you.
For real.
Don't even rack your brain, okay? Don't even rack your brain about it. For Andy, I have by our door one of those Etsy signs, the yes date, the best date, the first date, the yes date, the best date. So we can both remember the dates because we don't remember. So oh my God.
Remembers it all.
Yes. So like she said, remember that. So you guys have now been married for a couple of months, and how has that transition been? Now, being two grown people with the way you've been doing things, how you've been doing it, right? How has that been to come together to say, we're doing this together, and understanding your spouse may not do it the way you like it, but coming to terms with that? Like, how's that going now as a newlywed?
We've been actually married for
over a year.
13 months now? 13 months.
Yeah.
14 months. 14 months.
Mm-hmm.
14 months. November 29th made 1 year. So go ahead.
It's been a challenge. It has its challenges. I think overall we're doing great. Our situation is different in that we got married during COVID and we both work from home. So we moved in together in July of 2020. We closed on our house the last day of June in 2020, and we moved in the next day. So we literally are together, 24 hours a day, with the exception of when one of us will step out the house. So I think that actually has been great. Because we've really had a chance to, get to know each other in a living situation, because, things are very different when you're dating and coming and going versus when you're living together. Yeah. That's when you really find out, what all the little nuances of the other person is. So I think overall we've been doing great, but yes, we've had our challenges, and it's definitely been a time of learning, and we're going to continue to learn each other.
One of the things that I had to deal with is learn how to communicate with her. I've been by myself for 20 something years, and I have to, I come and go as I want. If I'm going down the street, so what? If I, I'm not that, I know better than to leave the house at 12 o'clock. That's not going to happen. But the thing about it is, she calls and says, "Where are you?" That she's not like trying to be, the FBI. she's just doing that because she cares. And so it took me a while to really understand and grasp that concept that she's calling because she's, where are you? What are you doing? And I'm like thinking like, well, I'm a grown man. I mean, you know, you don't need to be checking on me like that. But it's not that she's checking on me like to make sure that I'm, you know, where I'm supposed to be. It's because she cares. And it took me a while to put my hands around that and to really grasp it. But once I did, it, you know, everything became like, you know, became much better.
What's beautiful about that is that at some point you finally shared your true feelings with her. And then instead of taking offense, she shared her intent. So then you guys were able to hear each other versus, you know, when you have a tumultuous situation, it's like, why you always asking where I gotta go? Why you can't tell me? You hiding something? You know, and it's just like that whole back and forth where you're really not seeking connection and to understand. It's just being combative. So, you know, kudos and congratulations to you guys. You know, I know that marriage is a daily choice and a daily intention. So I just pray for nothing but the best for the rest of your lives together. And
Thank
that you just
so much.
you know, continue to enjoy the fact that you're enjoying this time when so many, you know, so many divorces because, you know, people were used to folks leaving the house. Now they're looking at each other all day. They're like, I don't know if I like you that much, you know, so the fact that you like each other, you're grilling and working on your flowers, you're doing your art sales, you know, it's just beautiful that you're able to come together and build this life together. So I thank you both for just sharing your story here today. How can people find you on social media?
I have on Instagram, I have Key West _colors, and also have artist_daughter, which is my personal Instagram. My Facebook business pages is The Art of Rolston.
Beautiful. And what about you, Dexter?
On Facebook, I'm Dexter Bridgeman. But as far as my company, MI Media Group.
Well, thank you guys. So for those of you listening in, please do follow this couple, you know, show them some love, send them some business, all the good things. And I just appreciate you all just listening in. And I hope that you've gotten a lot from today as I have. So in the meantime, make sure to subscribe, okay, and share this episode and keep loving, keep laughing, keep living. Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.